Imagine trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded. You keep twisting and turning, convinced that progress is being made. But when you finally remove the blindfold, the cube is more scrambled than when you started. That's exactly what happens when men attempt to interpret women's psychology using a man's framework. It's like trying to install iOS on an Android device. The system rejects it. Men are using the wrong operating system, and the result is confusion, frustration, and heartbreak. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain. I'm not going to give you the romanticized version of female psychology or the soft storybook explanation. Instead, you'll see the raw, unfiltered algorithm that actually drives female decision-making. Warning: once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. Every interaction you've had with women will suddenly snap into a new, almost unsettling clarity. The first brutal truth: women don't think like men. Not because they're from Venus or any other cliché, but because their psychological software was built for a different evolutionary role. Men developed as hunters, builders, and protectors. Women evolved with a different set of survival strategies: extraction of resources, emotional manipulation, and influence through social and psychological pressure rather than brute force. This isn't an insult. It's evolutionary psychology. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It only leaves men unprepared. I've seen countless men come to me broken, asking, "I gave her everything. Why did she leave?" The painful answer: that's exactly why she left. Once a man becomes fully conquered, the game ends, and women don't stick around when there's no longer a game to play. Female psychology runs on a set of core calculations. Think of it like code that loops endlessly in the background. How does this make me feel right now? Women are anchored in emotional immediacy, not long-term logic. What can I extract from this? Time, attention, validation, resources, status. How does this position me compared to other women? Female competition is relentless, no matter how loudly sisterhood is preached. Can I do better? The hypergamy scanner is on, always evaluating, always updating. This is why loyalty feels so different between men and women. Men think loyalty means staying through thick and thin. Women interpret loyalty as continuing to prove you're worth choosing every single day. The moment a man becomes complacent, she interprets it as abandonment. His satisfaction reads as rejection. His stability feels like neglect. Science backs this up. In studies of relationship conflicts, men's brains light up in problem-solving regions, while women's brains light up in emotional and memory regions. Men argue to fix. Women argue to compare, to recall, to relive every slight. Men are present-focused. Women experience all past disappointments simultaneously. Here's where things get more uncomfortable. Female communication is rarely about pure information exchange. It's about hierarchy, validation, and intelligence gathering. Every compliment is layered with subtle competition. Every girls' night isn't just bonding, it's reconnaissance. In women's social ecosystems, every relationship is constantly benchmarked against peers, friends, influencers, and social media highlight reels. She's not asking, "Am I happy?" She's asking, "Am I happier than the women around me?" This is why platforms like Instagram and TikTok have detonated traditional relationships. She's no longer comparing you only to her friends' boyfriends or husbands. She's comparing you to a curated fantasy. Billionaires, celebrities, relationship goals couples who only exist in filtered fragments. You're no longer competing against reality. You're competing against an impossible ideal. And then comes the paradox that drives men mad. She wants commitment, but loses desire once you commit. She demands emotional openness, then loses respect when you show vulnerability. She insists on stability, but craves unpredictability. These contradictions aren't bugs in the system, they're features. Each demand is actually a test, not of whether you'll give her what she asks, but whether you'll hold your ground. This testing protocol has roots in biology. Women, vulnerable during pregnancy and child-rearing, evolved to constantly assess whether a man could provide, protect, and endure. In modern times, women may not need men for survival resources anymore, but the software never updated. Now, instead of food or shelter, the extraction focuses on attention, emotional labor, validation, and experiences. Here's the devastating part. Men often misinterpret these tests as instructions. A woman says, "I wish you'd open up more," so the man bears his deepest wounds. But the test wasn't designed for him to pass by doing exactly what she said. It was designed to measure his resilience. Once he folds, attraction collapses. He obeyed her manual and failed. This is why many relationships follow the same arc. Woman enters affectionate, playful, alluring. Man commits. She reduces affection, raises demands. He works harder. She loses respect. He panics and doubles down. She leaves or cheats. He's left saying, "But I did everything she asked." Exactly. He ran her program instead of his own. Here's the cruel evolutionary reality. Women are hypersensitive to weakness, not because they're cruel, but because weakness historically meant death. Their ancestors who paired with weak men didn't survive. This is why a woman can sense insecurity from the smallest pause in your voice, the timing of your texts, the overthought gift you buy. Men often believe women are more emotional. In truth, they are more strategic with emotion. Anger, tears, withdrawal, these aren't always spontaneous feelings, but tools deployed for influence. For men, emotions are problems to solve. For women, emotions are weapons to wield. And the equality debate? Women often want selective equality, equal pay without equal risk, equal opportunity without equal accountability. It isn't hypocrisy, it's optimization. Their psychology is built to maximize benefit at the lowest possible cost. The most haunting truth is this: women don't love men in the same way men love women. Male love is like concrete, steady, durable, long-term. Female love is like water, fluid, shifting, always seeking a new level. She doesn't love you for who you are. She loves you for how you make her feel about herself in the moment. This is why so many men feel blindsided after divorces or breakups. They gave loyalty, consistency, protection, but didn't understand that female psychology is not about preserving what is secure, but about continually chasing what feels scarce and valuable. The red pill moment comes when you accept this. Women are not broken. They are operating exactly as evolution designed. You cannot overwrite their code with your love, sacrifice, or logic. You either understand their program and adapt, or remain a pawn in a game you never realized you were playing. Once you see the system, you can't unsee it. The blindfold is off. The Rubik's Cube was never meant to be solved by turning the pieces.